I want you, for just a second, to imagine driving your truck 120,000 miles around the world. Because that is what Andy and Don have been doing for the last few years. So here in just a second, Andy is going to talk about his awesome rig and all the maintenance that has been involved. But keep in mind, right after the video, please go check them out on Instagram and give them a follow at 2 Rogue Wanderers, and also look at their blog at roguewanderers.com.
Hi, I'm Andy Ellsbury, and behind the camera is Don Ellsbury, and together we are Rogue Wanderers. I'm talking to you today from the country of Jordan in the Middle East. We are 3.5 years into our around the world trip, and today I would like to talk to you about the build, the repairs and maintenance, the breakdowns, and the things that have surprised us. During the build process, the primary thing that we wanted to focus on was minimizing our being overweight, and we have done 5 mitigations on this. The first thing was the use of a aluminum bumper from CBI. The second thing was the use of a synthetic rope in our worn winch. And the third thing we did is that we are using only minimal skid plate protection that is also aluminum. The fourth thing that we did is we replaced our OEM rims with lighter weight aluminum rims from American Racing. And the final thing that we did is that we're using an aluminum flatbed from Norwell. Despite these 5 weight-saving mitigations, our empty dry weight is 6,600 pounds. And with food, water, fuel, and supplies, and us in the truck, we're pushing 7,500 pounds. So now let's talk about repairs and maintenance. Yeah, we're going to be spending multiple years in our around the world trip, and so we brought a brand new 2019 Toyota Tacoma Access Cab TRD Sport with a manual transmission. Wow, that was a lot to say. During that time, we have traveled 120,000 miles. We have visited virtually every country in Europe, and we have just completed a near circumnavigation of the continent of Africa, visiting 30 countries. And now we're in Asia and starting to head east. And during those super rough roads in Africa, we have experienced 4 true breakdowns. The first one was the end link on the anti-sway bar. That broke in some really rough roads in the country of Gabon. The second true breakdown involves the rear leaf spring shackle. It was bending, and so we have replaced those with aftermarket, really beefy ones. They have been great ever since. The third breakdown that we had was in the country of Kenya, and that we broke our custom-built design for the heavy weight in the rear axle. We broke our leaf spring, the top spring of the leaf spring. The final thing that we broke involves the bed mounts. In a Toyota Tacoma, there are 6 bed mounts, one of which you see right here. The rear 4 sit directly on top of the rear frame, and they have been fine, but it's the front ones, the front 2 that have been problematic for us a bit. It is behind the box, so I can't really show you what it looks like, but it's a bracket that is tack welded onto the side of the rear truck frame. Those, during some really rough roads in the country of Gabon, we broke that completely off, allowing the flatbed to start bending forward. And so that was fixed in Gabon, and we also did a little bit of minor repairs on it in the country of Botswana. Let's start talking about maintenance. We put together a schedule based upon the Tacoma World's maintenance thread and the severe usage category from the Tacoma manual. First thing we do is every 5,000 miles we replace the oil and oil filter, we check bolt brakes, and we rotate the tires. Every 20,000 miles we lube our aftermarket upper control arm ball joints and those aftermarket rear shackles, and change the cabin and engine air filters. Every 25,000 miles we change the front and rear differential oil, and at every 30,000 miles we change the transmission and transfer case oils. Every 60,000 miles we change the spark plugs, which is fun, and at 100,000 miles the engine coolant was replaced, and we'll do it every 50,000 miles thereafter. Now let's talk about crappy bad luck and some bad wrenching. The first thing that happened was me over tightening the oil filter drain plug, snapping it, causing an oil leak. Oops. The second thing involves our CV boots. We've had 3 of them ripped. One because the anti-sway bar broke. The third thing that's happened to us is that we've had a rear differential oil leak that has since been fixed. Wasn't bad maintenance, wasn't bad repairs, wasn't bad installation. We've also had numerous aftermarket bolts come continuously loose, so much so that we've had to mark with marker pen the bolts to make sure they don't move. In fact, we've actually had one bolt on our rear leaf spring fall off. And finally, this is, I guess, crappy bad luck, but we've experienced 2 electrical gremlins with the Tacoma. One was the airbag sensors, and the second one involves the anti-collision sensors. That's it. About things that have surprised us. The first thing is our fuel economy. We have averaged 15 miles per gallon in the continent of Africa and about 14 in Europe, which to me is like, we're totally pleased with that. We also, you can see back here, we carry 2 Rotopacks carrying about 8 gallons, and those are for areas where in some countries fuel has been near non-existent. The second thing that has surprised us is the truck's handling. And this is probably due to the result of installing Hailwig front and rear anti-sway bars. The truck actually handles curves quite nicely. The third thing, which isn't, I guess it's not to be super expected, is the fact that the truck is heavy, that it doesn't do well in sand. The tire pressure that we run is about 45 to 50 psi, and in order for us to start floating in sand, we have to drop it down to about 15. The next thing that has surprised us on our adventures is that we have found good and bad experiences with shops, 2 of which were really bad. Matter of fact, they were life-threatening. And that involved the Build shop in the Pacific Northwest. They actually pinched a wire underneath the camper, which one store told us was a high fire hazard. The second really bad but really highly rated overland shop was based out of Cape Town, South Africa. The result of visiting that store is we lost a rear tire at 55 miles an hour, and we lost a bolt and lost a front tire also. But along the way, we have experienced some absolutely wonderful shops in multiple countries throughout Africa and also Europe. They would slide us in right away, get us back on the road. And thanks for watching.
I cannot thank Andy and Don enough for blessing the channel like they have by letting us host them. And if you can do anything for them, it's again, go check them out at 2 Rogue Wanderers on Instagram or roguewanderers.com to see their blog. There is so much more you need to see on this journey. See you guys.